Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today and welcome to the channel. Appreciate you watching. Today's video, I'm just going to go over the job site and just getting it ready and just some tips I have on getting your area ready for the product you're putting down, LVP, laminate, whatever it may be. But before I get started, hit the subscribe button. That would be fantastic if you do that. So starting out, just having the clean job site and take the extra time, scrape up the paint or any sheetrock mud, any of that stuff. Just get that all scraped up. And I even will go across and hit some of the high spots in the underlayment, whatever I need to do. So just take the extra time, get your floor nice and clean, get all your staples up. Obviously your carpet's going to be out of there or whatever you have in there, but just go over it good and just make sure you're not going to have anything causing you issues later down the road. Another thing is I pull the baseboard off. I'm not a big fan of quarter round, so I will 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I pull the baseboard off. I just think you get a better outcome on the job, and so I'll pull it off and just either, if you're careful, get a putty knife behind it and just be careful as you're popping it off. And another thing you want to do is just take your utility knife and cut the top of it, cut the silicone or whatever in the paint. That way you don't have a mess and create problems with your paint job or whatever. And then just be careful with it, and you can usually, most of the time, you can rehang it and no problems. So we'll just go through and clean your floor real good. And yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about is maybe just the levelness of your floor too. Just like this, I'll just take a 6-foot straight edge, and this floor is pretty doggone flat, but I'll run this around just to see if I got any low spots that need to be filled in. I've got over this floor, it's pretty dang flat, so I don't think I'm going to have any issues. There's a few spots in the underlayment that I'm just going to kind of try to shave some high areas off, but nothing, I don't have anything major, so shouldn't be any problems there. But yeah, just go over everything, make sure your screws or your nails are all countersunk, you don't have any issues there, and just, it's worth a little bit of effort just to get any of these there's nothing major here, just some little paint things, but nothing major. So I'll go over there and clean all the floor real good and get it vacuumed up real good. So another thing you're going to want to do is just get your door jambs undercut. I see it a lot. Actually, I did not do this hallway, but I don't think the door jambs are undercut. And that's one of my pet peeves. It drives me nuts. I just take the time, undercut them, get your material underneath there. It's just so much cleaner finish on your job. And if you're going to put the effort into doing the job, you might as well do it and have a nicer job at the end when you're done. So anyways, I'm going to start scraping this down, and then I'll go over the install a little bit too while I'm at it. So I'm going to if you do have any low spots or anything, it's worth the extra effort to fill them in. You're just going to have problems with your floor if you don't. So, it slows down the project. I get that. But it's worth it in the long run. The tolerance they want you to have on this floor is they want a really, really flat floor. I don't know. I have to look on this one, but it's hardly anything as far as levelness. So you want that floor as level as you can possibly get it. So, you wouldn't think any of this little stuff like that would cause you issues, but a little bit of sheetrock mud or whatever, it can. A little staple here and there, it'll cause you some issues. Another thing is just getting your layout done right. This room right here is fairly simple. There's not, I mean, there's a little bit of a closet and a bathroom sink area, but just take the extra time. I mean, just like this, I'd lay out some boards. I found the center of my room, and I just take a lot of measurements, even in this simple of a room. But if you got, I mean, if you're going through this room into a hallway and a bunch of other things, you know, lay out some boards and take a bunch of measurements and just get your layout where you want it. I mean, it's hard to, if you got a bunch of nooks and crannies, it's, you know, it's not always easy to get, you know, hit every wall just like how you want. But I just try to minimize any tiny little slivers that I can. You know, you're not gonna, you might get them here and there, but just try to minimize all the ones that you can, so you're not fighting little pieces everywhere. So. Well, there's not too many doors here to undercut, so I think I got the bathroom one. Other than that, not to worry about that for a minute. Okay, I'm gonna get some pad rolled out, and then I'm gonna I got my layout figured out. I'm actually gonna start with the full plank on this side of the room, and on the other side, I'm gonna end up maybe trimming a little bit, tiny bit off. So I don't usually like to cut it that close when I'm laying it out, but I think I'll be fine cutting just a little bit off. I can space this over here 1/4 inch, and then we're gonna put some 1/2 inch or 5/8 base on top. So I'll roll my pad out, and then I'll show you how I do my false wall, is what I call it. I don't know, works great that way. It just holds everything in place while you're laying the rest of your room. So. Helps to have a sharp blade in. And they had some of this laid out in this other room, and they pulled it out. I'm going to try to reuse a lot of that. And then, like I talk about, I open at least 3 or 4 boxes at a time, and just shade variation, just mix them up. It's a good habit to get in whatever you're doing. If you're doing ceramic tile, or you're doing this type of stuff, hardwood floors. So. And your pieces, you cut off that end. This is where I'm going to start. Let's see. Yeah. So I'm going to start on this end. When I get to that end, those pieces on that end, I'm going to cut, and then I'll just bring them over here. And so it'll give you a constant kind of a random stagger. So yeah, when you get that in, just make sure you cut your pieces off and use them over here as your starters. Okay, I got my vents cut. Now I'm just gonna, I've got this, I measured this cross, I got my pieces in, and I'm just gonna nail those down. And then I'll, should be pretty stable. I'll get a second row in there and just keep going. But once I got that false wall, those false wall pieces in, nailed down, I mean, this thing's gonna be sturdy. I can beat against it if I need to use my tapping block, or it's just not gonna shift on me. So. And I'm not using anything major on this. I did on the last one I did, and these are just some little box nails or whatever. Okay, that should be plenty solid now. I mean, it's locked in there with those pieces, so I can just go to town and start knocking this out. Okay, so cutting through these doorways like this where you've got a few cuts, I usually just take a spare piece like this, put that in place, giving me the correct spacing, and then you just get that position where you want it, next to the cabinet there. And then I'll just take my cheater board like this, marking board, whatever you want to call it, and then you can make your marks on that. Same thing on this side. So Pretty simple way to do that. Also, you'll see in the video me fighting these doors. I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning. Just pull the doors. It's easier. I didn't pull this other door either. And so I may pull that, or I may just be stubborn and fight with it. But and then pretty simple, get it in place. So another thing that I need to talk about too is just where your two floors are meeting. Some of these doorways, I don't know who put the other material in there, but where your door closes is where you want your two floors if you to meet. Probably not. It's not as big a deal as if you're. I mean, if you're continuing through a door, obviously that doesn't matter. But if you're switching different floors, different materials, carpet to LVP or laminate or something like that, make sure you do that in where your door closes, in the center of that. So that way, when the door closed, you don't see one floor on one side and one door or one material on the other side. So it's just good practice to get into. So. Okay, I got this last piece in. First piece is my last piece. Took out my false wall pieces that were holding it all together, and then cut that in, but threw that into where the bathroom is. Hey guys, it is all over but the cleanup, so I am done with this project. I'm just going to get this mess cleaned up, but this one's a wrap. I've got to do a couple doorway trims, and customers asked me to put some base on for, and I said I was willing to do that. So maybe I'll do a follow-up video on putting the base on. I don't know if I will or not. Might be helpful for you. I was just going to show you a couple tricks on cutting those corners. I'm not a expert on trim, but I'm pretty good at it. So I might do a video on that. Just maybe it'll be helpful for some people. But appreciate you watching. I will catch you on the next project.